Protesters describe PNG as guided democracy after failed march. Prime Minister O'Neill says his government has the numbers. And 5 suspects caught in a major drug bust.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and welcome to another working week. The civil society in Port Moresby has described Papua New Guinea's democracy as a guided democracy. They said this after the proposed peaceful protest march today in Port Moresby was cancelled by police. The march was staged by NGO People's Power Movement President Noah Lanjo and the civil society to petition Prime Minister Peter O'Neill to step down. EMTV's Vasinata Yama reports.
Country and back up because democracy and back up.
This morning, almost 3/4 of NCD's police force, including NCDC reservists, guarded the Unagi Oval in Port Moresby, where the protest march was set to take place. Earlier, police gave assurance they would provide security. However, an hour later, police started belting people. A teenager who called names at police officers was severely beaten. A protester who was filming the commotion was kicked in the face and his camera destroyed.
This is uncalled for. The police should not have done that. The Metropolitan Superintendent was right there, and all that was done was under direct instructions from him.
After the protest march was cancelled, the civil society said to take another 7 days to do an aggressive public awareness of the petition. The petition was to ask Mr. O'Neill to step down from office for mismanagement and surrender to police for interview and arrest. About 27 petitions were presented to the media. According to the organizers, a court order was given to the police hierarchy and NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Benjamin Turi not to interfere or stop the protest. With today's action, they said the police have committed contempt of court.
The defendant and the police officers are restrained from infringing the rights of any and all of those persons under Section 42, 47, 52 of the Constitution who so partake in any possession, public meetings or any activity of such similar nature that is lawfully organized by the plaintiff.
Anjo also said that Metsub Turi was given 1 week notice of the march. Meanwhile, the protesters said today's protest march was to test the strength of the democracy in PNG. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Assistant Commissioner of Police, NCD Commander Sylvester Kalau, says the protest march that took place at the Unagi Oval did not follow proper legal processes. Marilyn Diao Katam reports.
Commander Kalau said today's protest march was not approved and therefore illegal and unlawful, resulting in the police involvement. Commander Kalau stressed that the Police Commission have no authority to approve of protests. Protest marches that will go down need to first be approved by the Peace and Good Order Council. This is composed of the NCDC Municipal Authority.
If there is no approval, let me make it very clear that any protest march or assembly will be considered as unlawful and illegal under the Criminal Code of Papua New Guinea, and the organizers and the people responsible can be dealt with severely.
Protest march organizers must follow the 1991 Peace and Good Order Act. Commander Kalau said that legal processes must be followed.
To exercise constitutional rights, it comes with a responsibility. It's a two-way process. It is not one way. So let us all be responsible.
Commander Kalau wants the residents of Port Moresby not to panic and continue with the day-to-day activities.
I'd like to assure the city residents and the population in the National Capital District that business is as usual. People must not be threatened. You feel free to go to work, to school, and police will be there. Police will be deployed to monitor the overall situation in the National Capital District.
Marilyn Diao Katam, National EMTV News.
Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil says a group of policemen stopping a civil rights march in Port Moresby for the removal of the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill should be ashamed of themselves. Also speaking was the Morobe Governor Kelly Naru. A lawyer himself raised concerns about the freedom of speech in a democratic country such as Papua New Guinea.
And we got court order against him. Law arrest him. And yet no police arrest him until we kiss him court and stop him. This is the type of prime minister that is not fit and proper to run this nation. Once again, shame on you, all these black policemen. And I'm urging the NGO groups, they have a court order there. Kiss him contempt of court against the police commissioner, Gary Baki. Now kiss him contempt of court against him all policemen who men and Yupla because their faces have been taken on the news, all photographs. Filing 1-1 contempt all good and let them follow the previous commissioner. This is Prime Minister I mean using previous.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is confident there will be no vote of no confidence against his government. Mr. O'Neill said the government has the numbers and brushed aside critics from the opposition, saying the government will continue to deliver in the next 17 months until the 2017 general elections.
A confident Prime Minister O'Neill headed a panel of Highlands Region MPs this morning to say speculations of a vote of no confidence will not happen in the coming Parliament session. This is because the government still has the numbers.
I think you can say that the government is got numbers close to 100, people already, but PNC itself has got 61 members. Of course, we are always willing to work with all our coalition partners. All our coalition partners remain intact, so we are going to work in accordance with the Halatawa Code.
Mr. O'Neill highlighted the developments his government has facilitated for the country over the last 3 years and said they will not stop in delivering services in the remaining 17 months before the 2017 general elections.
We have been able to develop the country's infrastructure in an unprecedented manner.
The Prime Minister also gave a preview of tomorrow's Parliament session. He said discussions will be on the much talked about supplementary budget, including the long-awaited ICAC bill.
We are the only government that has made any attempts to introduce such legislation. No other government has ever done this. So that we can make sure that all this gossip and innuendo that is floating around the community about corruption and things can be addressed once and for all independently by an independent legislative body. So we will be introducing ICAC in this coming session of Parliament. So we are asking members of Parliament, those who are committed. I'm very certain that the government members will support this.
However, Mr. O'Neill maintained the supplementary budget will still cover important areas like health, education and infrastructure developments.
The budget that we are going to end down on this session of Parliament, in this session of Parliament is going to be a responsible budget. It will be a budget that is going to continue to stimulate the growth, continue to be managed in a manner that is going to continue to deliver the services, especially our free education, free health care, all those social programs that this government has been able to deliver over the past 4 years will be continued over the next 17 months before we go to the elections.
Marilyn Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Key members of the National Alliance Party, including Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, were in Lae on Friday to open a new Morobe office. The party wants stability in government and it wants to be in a coalition with the People's National Congress. EMTV's Bethany Harriman reports.
Politicians synonymous with the National Alliance Party Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, Meden Governor Jim Cass, Maprik MP John Simon, Huon MP Ross Simo, Chuave MP Wera Muri, Karikuhiri MP Peter Isaimo and others were in Lae to reaffirm an NA present in one of the country's biggest provinces that holds 10 seats in Parliament. The party wants stability in the coalition government, but it still maintains its key role as a political party in Papua New Guinea's politics.
To making it a force to be reckoned with, but just like every aspiring political party, we want to lead this country again in the next term of office.
NA has held government from 2002 till August 2011. To understand how important the movement of the National Alliance Party is, we go back to August 2011 when the National Alliance Party, led by then Prime Minister Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, was taken down by a parliamentary vote of no confidence whilst he was away on surgery. Now, the split led to a breakup in the National Alliance ranks where those members of parliament loyal to Somare stayed and those who weren't moved across to the People's National Congress and formed government with Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. Today, it has formed coalition with the ruling People's National Congress, and from within the party, they wish to keep stability in the government. The National Alliance Party remains quiet about a vote of no confidence by the opposition, and instead, Stephen Pokowin shared the party's history.
When National Alliance reached the highest of about 43 members, and come 2012 elections, we were decimated to 7. The entire network of National Alliance right across the country.
Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Leh.
Well, Northern Governor Gary Jufa believes a looming vote of no confidence has a very remote chance of succeeding. He says members of the ruling coalition are comfortable, and given the 2017 general elections just around the corner, time limitation may perhaps be a barrier. But the vocal governor says if a motion was moved, he would support a no-confidence vote.
Politics is always fluid, so I might be wrong. I'll tell you what, though, if I were to vote, I would vote for a vote of no confidence. Why? Not because of the possibility of it succeeding, but because it is a way of telling the government that a lot of things that they are doing is not right. That they have to take a step back and look at what they're doing and determine whether what they're doing is in the best interest of this country or people. So I would do it as a form of protest. But I always reserve the right to make my decision in the best interest of this country and its people. And if I were to vote, then I would vote with the common interest of the people to highlight that there is a growing concern. There is a growing concern about how this country is being run. And that I would do.
Governor Jufa also explained to EMTV News his concept of the PNG bloc. He says he created the bloc in reaction to Morobe Governor Kelly Naru's Morobe bloc. Governor Jufa said it promotes and stimulates national unity.
If we're talking about a change of government, if we're talking about basically holding a government accountable, then we have to focus on national perspectives. And we have to say, what is it that the people of this country are concerned about? What is it that the government is doing that they feel is not addressing their concerns or representing their views or their interests? And that's where the idea of the PNG bloc came from.
A national perspective.
A national perspective. And at the same time, I wanted to start to introduce the idea that decision-making should not only be left to politicians. Okay, we're all shareholders of this country that can hold politicians accountable. If they make decisions that are not in the best interest of this country, then they should be made aware that these decisions are not in the best interest of this country. If they continue, if they ignore the people, then rather than wait every 5 years to deal with them, we should be able to deal with them now. And that's the whole idea of PNG bloc.
Among stories after this break, former parliamentarian and former member for Yanguru South Sia, John Jaminan, laid to rest. Stay with us for that and more. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. The late John Anthony Jaminan was laid to rest in his home village in West Yanguru last Friday. He was described by many as a fearless, determined and selfless leader who brought much-needed services to the people of Yanguru South Sia. The former Health and Housing Minister died at the Port Moresby General Hospital on the 30th of September after a short illness. Our reporter Stanley Ovett Jr. accompanied the body of Mr. Jaminan to Nimbihu village in West Yanguru, and he files tonight's EMTV News special report.
The body of the late John Geminen arrived in Wewak last Wednesday. He was accompanied by family members, including the current member for Yanguru Sausia, Richard Maru. He was given a guard of honor welcome by the disciplinary forces and was taken on a final tour of Wewak town. Following a short stop at Yausoro outside Wewak, his body was taken up the Sepik Highway to his homeland in the Yanguru Sausia district. The highway was decorated with flowers and banners welcoming Mr. Geminen home. His first stop was at Kubalia station. The songs that were chanted around his casket described Geminen's life. He was a fearless leader who was known throughout his district and his Sepik province.
Leader today, I'm still living in my casket, I'm a vision, I'm a 3-man. How am I develop him? Yanguru Sausia, I'm a blow hat. You got handmark. You got handmark. You got handmark, now you pass away.
John Geminen, or simply known to all as JJ, was born in 1943 at Nimbihu village, West Yanguru. He was elected as the first member for Yanguru Sausia in 1977. He joined Sir Imbaki Okuk in his United Party and later joined Pius Winty's People's Democratic Movement Party. During his political career from 1977 to 1997, he was Health Minister and Housing Minister, but his whole political career was for his people in Yanguru Sausia.
And truly serving people in Yanguru Sausia, lo formula kona equally na fairly. And in the last 40 years time you look him legacy long him, there's none other. No got one plan reach him achievements where John Geminen achieve him in terms of service. I mean, no got a house for his interest. I mean, because he really wanted to change Yanguru Sausia.
Mr. Maru said the work Mr. Geminen did for his people will not stop with his death.
But it's important that as he talk goodbye long him, you make him determination in our heart. That when we work and we losing, we must complete it. What I'm dreaming about, we must let him go and fulfill.
On Thursday, he was given a special farewell at Yanguru Station, and with that, Mr. Maru announced the new West Yanguru High School will be named after Geminen.
We will remember him forever because the high school will be named after him. So the old Mangilo now must look long, kind intelligence man from a simple, humble village in the outbacks of West Yanguru. If he can do it, all people now can do it.
On Friday, he was laid to rest in his home village. Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV News.
A teacher from Manus Province says the national government's recent proposed legislation to control and regulate freedom of speech is unconstitutional in a democratic country like Papua New Guinea. He says the move will suppress freedom of speech and that authorities must be challenged in court. EMTV's Fabian Hakelitz reports.
John Kamau is a teacher at Naringale Primary School who didn't waste time expressing his concerns after citing EMTV's visit to the location. Mr. Kamau said there are increasing threats by the current government regime to freedom of speech and expression enshrined in the PNG Constitution. This presses rights to the criticism of official corruption have been abused and is dangerous for democracy.
This I may not agree long because everyone, PNG, since it's a democratic country, everyone has a right to express himself or herself.
Mr. Kamal said it was frightening for NICTA to regulate information labeled against the national government, which clearly shows a politicized institution. He said the government must not manipulate the system but accept criticisms for a better tomorrow.
Government suppose working performing good role blue, then people only make him only must talk na yuksim view plongol na, then you must send him some lakain well leadership.
Meanwhile, one of PNG's founding fathers, father of decentralization and now Bougainville President, Chief Dr. John Momis says leaders must not compromise the common good, subjugate independence and democracy in Papua New Guinea. Section 42 of the PNG Constitution speaks on freedom of speech and expression.
We should not give in to the temptation of interfering with the freedom of the press.
Chief Momis says the 5 national goals and direct principles call upon all leaders to endeavor to secure the best interest for Papua New Guineans. Momis called on the government not to interfere but respect the right to information. Fabian Hakelitz, National MTV News.
Well, tension is looming over the issue of the Manam Resettlement Authority that is likely to be deliberated on the floor of Parliament tomorrow when Parliament resumes. There are 2 separate bills, one proposed by the Madang Governor Jim Cass and the other by Bogia MP John Hickey. The volcano-displaced Manam Islanders need immediate resettlement, while the Underroom people of the proposed area of resettlement want the government to clarify arrangements of giving away their land.
Tensions are looming over the fact that there are 2 separate Manam resettlement bills yet to be passed by Parliament. One was proposed by the Bogia MP John Hickey, known as the Manam Boisa Rehabilitation and Resettlement Bill, and the other was proposed by the Madang Governor Jim Cass, titled the Manam Restoration Authority Bill. The Underroom people of Bogia District, the proposed area of resettlement for the volcano-displaced Manam Islanders, want the government to come clear, especially when the matter involves giving away their customary land.
We plan to give a green light yet. Enough, you plan big man by come now. Sit down one time, we plan no strategy la. Talk one time, we plan power ground. We plan by give him green light. We plan by scare him. He got no good belong him or good plan belong him. So we plan by kiss him good plan belong him and good belong him by plan rouse him. Because ground emi tupu na ground blow me, emi labor through blow me.
Me no like in politics lo one side long MRA bill. Larem na bill blow member blow Bogia must go through.
According to the representatives, the bill by their MP, John Hickey, to resettle the islanders and rehabilitate seems fair.
Me supporting bill belong Honorable Sir John Hickey, member of Bogia, law rehabilitation resettlement.
They explained that they are not against the resettling of the islanders on their land, but are calling on Governor Cass to work together with their local MP to make the bill happen in favor of what matters for all.
Me like talking Governor Blamedeng as a regional member, you like supporting Manam district, Manam project, please you team up one time open member of this electorate.
The Manam Islanders, obviously in dire need to be resettled as soon as possible, have expressed frustrations because of the confusion of the 2 separate bills. They too are calling on the Governor, Jim Cass, to work together with their local MP for their sakes and for Madang province as a whole. Rachel Shise, National MTV News, Madang.
The PNG Maritime and Transport Union is raising concerns about job security for stevedoring employees in Lae and Port Moresby. The union is opposing the government's move to replace the existing stevedoring company in Lae with a Philippines-based port company. Union President Alex Rawali says the issue is about employees' livelihoods and job security.
Mr. Rawali says the policy the O'Neill government has approved to replace the stevedoring operations of the Port Moresby and Lae ports will have serious implications on the workers. The Maritime and Transport Union president says the government has negotiated for a Philippines-based company to replace the Rebec stevedoring company in Lae, partly owned by the landowners of the port area.
Now, with the decision that the government has done has thrown our membership, and we're in questions as to whether what their future would be, the future in the employment of these companies.
Mr. Rawali says Rebec stevedoring in Lae, which has over 40 years experience and employs over 1,000 people, was not shortlisted as one of the new contractors at the newly built Lae tidal basin.
And this ICTL operator, which is proposing the government is trying to get in, it's a very big record. It's a very bad record with organized labor, basically with unions. And how do the government think that they will come in here and have a good relationship with the workforce in the waterfront?
He says PNG Ports and IPBC has kept silent on the issue. The union president says the new company has a bad record of dealing with its workforce.
And so we want the government, we are calling on the government to rescind this decision or solve it and come down and dialogue with us.
He says the PNG union will support its workforce and the landowners to stage protest to get the government's attention. Meanwhile, Bulolo MP and Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil has thrown his support behind Rebec and landowners of the Lay Wharf.
I, as a Morabian, throw my support behind Rebec, and should the day when the Rebec takes the street, I will go with the founding fathers of Lay, Morobe, and the Rebec people, including George Guare, and I will protest with them, and I will lock the main gate from the Lay City Harbours operation.
Quinton Alom, National EMTV News.
On the same note, port workers in Lay have expressed dissatisfaction with the government's move to bring in a foreign company. The group, made up of landowner companies, have expressed that the government needs to consider the possibility of unemployment caused by the decision, with landowners bearing the brunt of negative effects. While there isn't any talk yet of a strike, any disruption could cause serious problems for the local economy and the rest of the highlands. Cocoa farmers in East New Britain are being urged to participate actively in the cocoa industry to revive it. Cocoa agencies in the province such as AgMark and PNG CCI have given positive indications for an increase in cocoa price by 2020 and onwards. It is estimated that a cocoa bag will fetch between 500 kina and 1,000 kina during that period. EMTV's Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
This cocoa nursery, located along the Tokwa stretch on the outskirts of Kokopo town, began 2 years ago. It is an effort carried out by Jack Duvia, one of the cocoa enthusiasts in the province, who attempts to encourage and put farmers back in the cocoa industry. While many have seen it as a futile attempt to revive the industry in the province, others like Jack have taken it as a personal responsibility to advise the people not to give up.
The next 3 years will go back to 20,000 for this province. At the moment, we are on about 5,000, which is the lowest.
Confidence in cocoa farming in the last 8 years has dipped following the infestation of the cocoa pot borer disease, causing a drop in production and export level for the country.
Cocoa agencies such as the PNG CCI and AgMark have revealed a future forecast where cocoa prices will increase by year 2020. Now, this will be spurred by new cocoa markets opening up in China and India. And while that happens, those cocoa farmers who have rejuvenated their plantations are expected to make a fortune.
Taking the future market on the same capacity, that the price will go up between 1,000 to 1,500. If you take the middle figure of 1,250, you will end up with 20,000 kina per ton.
Master Duvia said cocoa farmers should now look into the future, but that will depend on the willingness of each farmer if they are enthusiastic about getting back into the business.
Global supply is under pressure. We believe, and all indications are, that price is going to at least hold its current level in all probability, and we would like to think it will increase.
The largest exporter of PNG cocoa, AgMark, said the future of PNG cocoa is basic economics. When the supply falls, the demand rises, and it brings up the prices with it. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
News. And now let's take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3440 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our kina was trading at $0.3365 $0.4626 Australian dollars, $0.3019 euro, and 40.5 Japanese yen. Taking a look at commodity prices at New York close, gold closed lower, while coffee, cocoa, and copra closed the day higher. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil closed the day higher. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 157 points lower, the ASX closed at 15 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 19 points higher as well. In the news ahead, 5 suspects caught with marijuana on a flight from Goroka to Port Moresby, and PNG Power says water levels at Sirinumu Dam under control. Stay with us for those stories. Good to have you back with the news. 5 suspects involved in smuggling marijuana into Port Moresby were captured this morning by the NCD Police Dog Unit. Police say this is the biggest drug bust in the nation's capital this year. The drugs were transported through TNT from Goroka, and Dog Unit officers acting on tip-offs arrested the drug dealer and the marijuana. EMTV's Quinton Allen reports.
At 10:30 this morning, the main suspect arrived in Port Moresby from Goroka via Leh on an airline's PNG flight. He was intercepted at the airport by members of the NCD Dog Unit. The marijuana were carefully packed and labeled as Busu coffee and were transported as TNT cargos from Goroka to Port Moresby on Saturday. The main dealer arrived this morning on an airline's PNG flight. When landed in Port Moresby at 10:30 this morning, he was intercepted by members of the NCD Dog Unit at the airport. The officers acted on intelligence tip-off, caught the main suspect and confiscated his mobile phone, which led to the arrest of other 5.
Tubla kama cheta mi bla salim anda kawa karbon bla go pass lap side na time tubla la kala taxi lawa mi bla pasim tasol na surprisingly tubla kon chela police car bla time tubla kala police car bla separating tubla tu wambla kala front wambla kala back side mad communication so no telephone blow sola mi bla meetings la big bla group ya one time drug load blow.
Police says the marijuana weighed over 27 kilograms and has a street value of about 500,000 kina. One other suspect, identified as David, is still at large. He is believed to be residing at Erima, Mambu Block.
David is still at large. Albert flew in this morning in order for them to get the stuff and do the distribution throughout the city.
The suspects were believed to have done this trading several times before being caught. The members of the Dog Unit says this is the biggest bust confiscated this year in NCD. They gave credit to the police dogs for making their work much easier. The suspects were brought to the drug squad for questioning. Quinton Alomp, National EMTV News.
To El Nino-related news, Port Moresby's water source, the Sirinumu Dam, has seen a drop of 10 million cubic meters in 3 weeks. However, PNG Power Water Management officers say they have control mechanisms in place that will ensure Sirinumu Dam's water levels remain reasonable until the end of this year.
The Sirinumu Dam, which was officially opened in 1963, provides water for consumption and electricity for Port Moresby. The dam is the only water source for the country's capital city and its 500,000 inhabitants. Earlier this month, on the 2nd of October, when EMTV visited the dam, the levels were at 139 million cubic meters. When we returned today, the levels were at 129 million cubic meters. That's a drop of 10 million cubic meters in a span of 3 weeks.
We have, this morning we have around 129.34 million cubic meter. From the last time, 139, which is about 10 million cubic meter drop.
On the other hand, PPL Water Management Officer Laun Medako said the current levels are slightly better than the El Nino situation faced in 1997.
With the prolonged dry spell experienced throughout the country, PNG Power's water management says it has put in place control mechanisms to ensure its consumers in the nation's capital are protected.
And we're not panicking because the way we manage and control the flow here is slowly dropping. We had a bit of rain this morning, 18.6 millimeter, and we should be all right until the end of the year.
It was revealed in a statement that senior executives of Edaranu and PNG Power met to discuss contingency plans and strategies to counter the El Nino period. PNG Power Acting CEO and Chief Operating Officer John Yanis has given his undertaking that once water levels at the Sirinumu Dam dropped to the 100 cubic meter mark, all hydroelectricity generation using this source will cease. Water level at Sirinumu is now at 38% dam capacity level, and with a monthly drawdown rate of 5% by both SOEs, this water is expected to last another 8 to 10 months. Edarano Chief Executive Officer Henry Mokono is strongly appealing to residents of NCD, especially the settlements and Motukoita villages, to be water-wise. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
The Provincial Disaster Office in Jiwaka Province has completed a report on effects of the El Niño in the province. Relief supplies for droughts in Jiwaka will cost 5 million kina to cover all 3 districts. Jiwaka Disaster Coordinator John Kupul has confirmed receiving reports of people affected by the prolonged drought, however said reports of deaths are yet to be confirmed. Jiwaka Governor Dr. William Tongap said the province is not able to assist because it does not have internal revenue.
On the ground, doing a report, we are doing an impact assessment report for the province, and currently we are about 90% complete.
Prolonged drought. Eventually it's been very serious now in Jiwaka. It's affecting a lot of people. We're getting so many complaints or requests from persons within the province asking for relief supplies like rice and stuff. From the provincial government's level, we basically have a lot of funding issues here. As a new province, our internal revenue has been quite low. I would say 0 for the last 3 years. So it makes it very difficult for us to source funding during disaster.
A historical milestone was reached today as the country's first ever female secretary to the Department of National Planning officially sealed her post as department's head. Hakawa Susan Harry, along with other heads of departments, confirmed her position in an employment contract signing ceremony at the government's house.
After months acting on their posts, 9 department heads were confirmed to their positions today by the Parliament Speaker Theo Zuranok and witnessed by the Chief Secretary to the Government and the Secretary to the Department of Personal Management. The 9 include John Kali OBE as Secretary to the Department of Personal Management, Dari Vele as Secretary to the Department of Treasury, Anna Solomon as Secretary to the Department of Community Development, Ivan Pomaleo as Managing Director of Investment Promotion Authority, Johnny Bogombari as First Legislative Counsel, and Malin Toliman Akop, Lina Rawaya Kagana and Alice Wana as Assistant Legislative Counsels. Also confirming her post is Hakawa Susan Harry, who is the first female secretary to hold the post of Secretary to the Department of National Planning and Monitoring.
I'm happy, but the challenges that are on me to deliver is huge. And I guess being in the department for a while, I have the confidence that I can move the department forward and move government agendas forward.
Ms. Harry has 17 years of extensive experience holding top posts in the department and has a sight set on quality service delivery. This includes developing practical frameworks for the department, which she hopes can be used incessantly through each government term.
I will ensure that my department is structured we've been working through a restructure process. It's structured in a way that it is given the mandate and it is strengthened further to be able to implement government programs and report on them, which is very important.
Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
Well, National EMTV News continues with True Guy Sports. Coming up next, we'll have news on golf and soccer. I'll be back after this break. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Thanks for joining me with True Guy Sports. To golf, 14 teams competed in the inaugural Heli Solutions Cup at the Mount Hagen Golf Course at the weekend. The 4-man Ambrose had 100 starters taking part, including juniors and 1 female. LA Blades won the cup in the 2-day tournament.
Helicopter company Heli Solutions sponsored a two-day tournament over the weekend at the Mount Hagen Golf Course. Heli Solutions owner and company's chief executive officer, Captain Phil Hammack, was on the course taking part in the Heli Solutions Foreman Hambros. The Heli Solutions tournament is one of the largest competition the club has had this year. 2 years ago, the company did sponsor a similar tournament. However, this did not happen last year, but this year it had decided to revive the past commitment. The tournament ended yesterday evening with different awards for different areas, including best approaches, sharpshooters, and longest drivers for both day 1 and day 2. Guests at the presentation yesterday included Madang Governor Jim Cass. Governor Cass, while thanking Heli Solutions for such initiatives, challenged other members of parliament to support national companies.
I said, congratulate him, Heli Solutions. Long one something you plus making long support him or young player indirectly. Sanap long parliament and people talk support your own local companies. We must put. Why support Heli Solutions and company from Highlands? This is not a Highlands company, this is a Papua New Guinea company.
Heli Solutions has made a commitment to continue the sponsorship next year.
Next year, Lord willing, we can do it again.
LA Blades have won the 2015 Foreman Hambros Heli Solutions Cup, while the Warra Boys won the second placing and Team William Mackey and the Three Musketeers came third in the tournament. Michelle Amba, National EMTV Sports, Mount Hagen.
Well, the Best FA Cup finals will be in Lae this week. The regional qualifiers began with the Mamasa qualifiers in mid-August, then moving on to Lorengau, Manus Province, before Port Moresby, and finally Goroka played host to the games. The top two men's and women's teams from each region have all booked spots in the finals, and they're all out to prove who the best is in the Best Cup.
LFA were the first to book their spots after fighting it out in the Momasa Grand Final against Situm, who themselves became disqualified after fielding ineligible players. That has left the road open for Madang, who have talent and experience in the likes of the Malagian brothers and PNG International Neil Hans. Manus and Kavieng were the sole contenders for the islands region, and after playing each other, automatically qualified. However, their lack of competitive matches may not bode well, especially considering that Manus are the defending champions from the last tournament. The southern leg had produced shocking results. Pre-tournament favourites PMSA and the public servants both getting knocked out in the semi-finals by a rampant Kaupa. That association provided not just one, but two teams for the national championships. The Highlands still remain the least developed of the country's 4 regions. Hagen had to overcome a late surge by Goroka to advance, but the region still needs a lot of assistance to develop its players. A host of NSL players will feature in the Best Cup, many of whom will be spread out amongst the 12 franchises. On paper, the Momasa teams appear the strongest of the 6 participating associations, and while Manus will enter as defending champions, Kaupa are the surprise package and will be out to prove their mettle against the best in the country. The women have Lahi and PMSA as the favourites, both teams with a wealth of talent, both experienced and young. Jeremy Mogi, National EMTV Sports.
Well, Trukai Sports continues after this break with the Rugby World Cup. Stay tuned for that story.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. The Australian Wallabies have ended the Argentinian Pumas' hope of a Rugby World Cup appearance after a 29-15 win in the early hours of this morning. A match that was truly contested by both teams to the end saw the Wallabies being pushed physically, while the Pumas showed much more aggression. Australia's reputation and experience as a world-class team was evident throughout the entire 80 minutes.
strikes back at the home.
Australia's attack was supreme in the opening minutes of the first half, with front rower Rob Simmons running away with an easy intercept try.
Amazing start.
Simmons' try set the momentum for 3 more tries to come. Wide play by halves Will Genia and Bernard Foley, accompanied by a directive backline, allowed Adam Ashley Cooper to score the first of his 3 tries. But it would be the forward pack that would give away 1 too many penalties in the scrum. Argentina's Sanchez opened the scoreboard for the Pumas with the first of 6 kicks to come throughout the game. A yellow card for a potential shoulder charge on Israel Folau saw the Pumas with 1 man down, and the experience of Wallaby veteran Matt Giddo to Ashley Cooper brought the scoreline to 19-6 at 32 minutes.
And it's an easy one. Ashley Cooper gets a double.
Argentina began the second half with another penalty kick.
Leading point scorer in the tournament.
By the 54th minute, Sanchez scored Argentina's final points with a penalty outside the 22. And with 10 minutes remaining, the Mitchell and Ashley Cooper combination was what made Argentina realise it was game over.
Amazing! Mitchell, Ashley Cooper for a hat-trick! And that is surely checkmate. A flailing Argentina.
Yeah, I think they defended well in the second half, but we wanted to win. We are very sad we didn't do it today.
Wallabies captain Stephen Moore taking nothing away from the Pumas, but ecstatic for a chance to steal the cup off the Kiwis.
This is a tough game. We knew it would be. I thought they played really well. We had to defend a lot there, so really proud of the way we defended. We give ourselves an opportunity now to play in a final.
Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Well, Trukai Sports wraps up on that note. The weather details when we come back. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours, in southern region, all centres relatively fine weather. In Momase, mostly fine, expected in all centres. In the New Guinea Islands, fine weather in all centres. And lastly, in the Islands region, dry, although low cloudy weather expected. Well, that's the way it is this Monday, October 26, 2015. From the news crew, I'm Tokana Asavi. You take care and stay happy. Good night.